You say you're not afraid, but Americans are afraid of Iran, and they believe that Iran would like to strike the United States with a nuclear weapon. They see video of Iranians saying death to America, describing our country as the great Satan. What is your opinion of that? Should we be afraid of Iran?
This is Iran, and these people are supposed to be, oh well, never mind. They definitely don't look friendly, I'll give you that. I would even say they look a bit weird, but scary? So, should Americans be afraid? Sure. But only the way you would fear a toddler with a grenade.
Nasrullah Azizi, Shahid Nab Sarwan Ali Kahuri Nejad, Shahid Nab Sarwan Hassan Ravande و شهید دریادار محمد ابراهیم همتی و شهید ناف سروان حمید قهرمانی و دهها شهید و صدها شهید سرفراز دیگر که در حراست و حفاظت و پاسداری از آبها و مرزهای دریایی کشور عزیزمان ایران عاشقانه بر قلب دشمن تاختند و این آرامش و امنیت را به همه ما هدیه دادند. یاد و خاطره همه شهیدان سرفراز را گرامی می‌داریم.
Yeah, quite scary stuff, if that's the word we're going with. And yes, in case you're wondering, that's the army's top general. It wasn't always like this, you know. In fact, it used to be quite the opposite. This was Iran in the 60s, before the 1979 Islamic Revolution, a legendary and glorious army that embodied strength, pride, fearlessness, and courage, and unlike today's forces, managed discipline and rhythm beautifully. And this fine gentleman here is His Imperial Majesty Humayun Shahan Shah Arya Mehr. Loved, honored, and remembered by us as the father of modern Iran. Nearly half a century later, synchronized rhythm remains rather elusive to this new army. Overweight seems to be the style they've gone for. Everyone's sporting a round belly. Their finest hour only to arrive on performative drills, when the awkward stumbles, tumbles, fumbles, and falling over were kept quite mercifully to a minimum. Now, to be fair, they do find rhythm on occasion, but not the sort one should really hope for in an army. Although, let's face it, these guys would win every battle. Every battle fought on the most sacred battlefield of all, the dance floor. If you're wondering, what on earth did I just watch? Congratulations, you've just cracked the daily thought cycle of an entire generation of Iranians, pretty much everyone under the age of 50. It's a question we've asked almost daily. We've poured a lifetime of thought, speculation, blood, sweat and tears into it. How could this have possibly happened to us? And now, 48 years on, the answer is finally clear, painfully clear. Now, you might be thinking, why should I give a flying fig what happened to these people 50-odd years ago? Well, because the same circus has now set up tent in your town. In other words, the very thing that swallowed us back then is creeping up on you today as we speak. And why am I even bothering to tell you this? So you don't spend the next 50 years like we did thinking, how the hell did we manage such a cock-up? It wouldn't hurt if we actually helped each other out for a change. And let's be honest, our two peoples could really do with a little extra help. Symbolically, this is the ghost of your past coming forth to teach you an important lesson, to show you how you might overcome what you face today, because we both need each other. Without the past, there is no future, and if no future awaits, then the past ceases to matter at all. The old Persian Empire, the Egyptians and the entire Middle East hold the keys to the past, but the responsibility for safeguarding the future now rests on the West's shoulders. People often wonder, why do they try so hard to divide us in the media? Well, here's your answer. Because if we ever worked together, shared our insights, our skills, and guided one another along the way, we could actually win. And what is the prize for such a victory, you may ask? Nothing less than the survival of the human species, and with it every other form of life on this planet we call Earth. If that doesn't sound appealing, feel free to stop watching right here. But if you do care about the matter, then please stay until the very end. This is not a hook phrase. Alright, who am I kidding? Of course it is. How else am I meant to beg for the attention of the younger audience with an attention span of barely 8 seconds, courtesy of social media? But please, if you can, try and hang on till the end.
Now listening to the warning bass.
Now that I have your valuable attention, let's begin, shall we? First things first. Please, and I mean please, do not make the mistake of thinking their gross incompetence equals harmlessness. Remember, I said they ought to be feared like a toddler holding a grenade. Yes, they are full of comedy value. They stumble into the most bizarre circumstances, sometimes even entertaining ones like that Invincible Vast situation I'm sure you all enjoyed. But never forget, that comedy can turn in an instant into the darkest kind of satire, the kind we could never have imagined. You know how the younger we are, the less cautious we tend to be? That carelessness does not come from courage, but from an absence of fear. And that absence of fear comes from not knowing any better. The less we know and understand the consequences of our actions, the more foolishly catastrophic things we do. This is exactly how these people should be understood. Unbelievably stupid, absurdly cruel, painfully incompetent, Utterly useless, insanely wealthy, and terribly resourceful. A perfect recipe for becoming terrifyingly dangerous. You may be confused, wondering how could they fail to build a strong protective force? The truth is, they do have an army. In fact, they have several and have poured trillions into them over the years. The difference is this: they are not Iranian, and these forces do not operate to defend. Their aim is to destroy. They operate externally, like satellites spread across the area, working to expand and destroy whatever is in reach. Domestically, they hold vast reserves and stockpiles of equipment, but lack the manpower to use them. Whenever chaos erupts internally, these satellite forces are summoned back to viciously suppress and brutalize innocent Iranian civilians. Now that you see the imminent threat they pose, let us lay out the important questions. Where did these people even come from? How did the events of 79 unfold? Who helped them succeed? And perhaps most importantly, what was their motive? And how did they benefit from what happened? To answer these questions, we must first understand where Iran stood at the time and what its real strengths were.
Iran, a country brimming with energy, exploding with construction and development, a dynamic state with a thriving capital.
All the leaves are brown. And the sky is gray. I've been for a walk on a winter's day. I've been safe and warm.
Women even playing soccer, symbol of a radical revolution against deep-rooted taboos, habits, prejudices.
California dreaming on such a winter's day. Stopped into a church. I passed along the way. Well, I got down on my knees, and I pretend to pray. You know the preacher like the cold. He knows I'm gonna stay.
In an age when so many monarchies perished and Mohammad Reza Shah had ascended to the throne, Iran still adheres to her constitutionalist traditions. With the oldest constitution in all Asia, she still remains a monarchy. Symbol of the new role of women in Muslim Iran is the active participation of Farah, the Shah Banu, in representing the dynasty, the state. She's in charge of whole sectors of national life, particularly in the fields of social activities, art, and culture. The number of children in primary schools has risen from 1.7 million to 4.1 million. In high schools, from 326,000 to almost 2 million. Of 152,000 students in higher education, about 1/3 are women. In 1975 at Tehran University, 44% of all graduates in medicine were women, 47% in pharmacology as well as in social sciences, and 55% in education. Oil, the basis of Iran's wealth. The oil boom offering new opportunities, new challenges for the country's development. Steel mills built by the Russians, partly in exchange for delivery of natural gas to the Soviet Union. Iranian assembly and manufacturing plants already produce the greater part of all motor vehicles now needed in the country. From the southern regions burnt by the scorching sun, the Trans-Iranian Railway provides one of the few connections to the Caspian littoral in the north, where rainfall reaches 60 inches per year. Yet, as everywhere in Iran, most of the country's 60,000 villages are isolated from the outside world, the greater part of them strewn over Iran's high plateau and mountains. Since students from the regular universities could not stand the hardships of nomadic life, tribesmen were trained at special faculties. They are wandering with the tribes, teaching 70,000 children a year in Iran's mobile schools, the schools of the white tents. The hearts of the Persians are still in the ruins of Persepolis, the ancient capital built in 520 BC by Darius, 230 years later burned by Alexander of Macedonia. In 1971, Iran celebrates her 2,500th birthday as a nation, as a state, and as a monarchy, the oldest monarchy in the world with the youngest dynasty. But looking back to the empire of Cyrus, of Darius, of Xerxes, throughout the centuries, on the ruins of old towns, new ones were erected. and again on the remnants of these, layer on layer, in this country so often invaded. During these thousands of years, the Iranians were often conquered, yet never colonized, so they remained a proud people, conscious of their history and of their heritage. This ancient land's armed forces today are continually equipped with the latest weapons. Iran's military strength has aroused suspicion even in the West. It should be remembered, however, that Iran again and again in her history has been unable to resist so many foreign invasions because of her military weakness. The Shah, here with Egypt's Sadat, has learned his lesson.